All right, Steve here. We're opening the Red Ledger again, Chapter 3, and believe me, the stakes have just been raised. I want you to forget all the market noise you're hearing today. We need to talk about something much bigger. We need to talk about the tectonic plates of the global economy. Because right now, they're grinding against each other, and an earthquake is inevitable.
So let's get right into it. Picture this. On one side of the world, you've got Beijing. They're staring down the barrel of a $19 trillion property market that's, well, it's basically a ghost town, an absolute disaster. Then you look at Washington. Just last week, we watched the U.S. national debt rocket past $39 trillion. So you've got two empires, right? Both facing their own existential crisis. But, and this is the key, their solutions could not be more different.
And this is where the real story starts. See, China isn't sitting around waiting for the dust to settle on its real estate implosion. No way. They're not trying to patch up their domestic market with bailouts. Instead, they've initiated a massive strategic pivot. They're calling it Industrialization 2.0.
Look, this is not the old China we're talking about. Forget cheap toys and textiles. That's over. Beijing is now weaponizing its industrial power. They're flooding the global market with what they've dubbed the new trio. And what is this trio? We're talking about the very foundations of the next 100 years. Electric vehicles, high-capacity lithium batteries, and advanced solar technology. What they're doing, it's creating a global export shock unlike anything we have ever witnessed.
So you gotta ask yourself why? Why this level of aggression? Well, to get that, you have to understand the core concept that's driving this whole strategy. There's one word that explains the desperation fueling all of this.
That word is involution. You might not have heard it, but in China, it basically means hyper-competition. It's what happens when your own economy stagnates, when your domestic consumers are flat broke. They can't afford the very things their own country is producing. So what do you do if you're one of these massive state-of-the-art factories? You've got two choices. You either shut your doors or you dump your products on the global market at any price, no matter how low. So let's be clear, this isn't about cheap labor anymore. This is about state-subsidized, high-tech dominance that's born from a rotting domestic core.
So here's the bottom line, and you need to get this. They are intentionally selling at a loss. Think about that. They are willing to lose money on every single EV, every solar panel, every battery. Now, why would they do that? It's simple. It's for one reason: to bankrupt their competitors, to bankrupt Detroit, to bankrupt the Germans, to bankrupt Japan. They are trading profit today for absolute market domination tomorrow. And they're doing it with a ruthless efficiency that, frankly, Western boardrooms just can't wrap their heads around.
And this all brings us to the core conflict, doesn't it? The great divide of our time. It's a tale of two economies, two completely different ways of thinking, and they are on a direct collision course.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's stark. On one side, you've got the producer state China. They are overproducing real, physical, high-tech things to lock down their future. On the other side, you have the paper economy, the United States. We're adding $7 billion in new debt every single day. That's $1 trillion every 5 months, just to keep the lights on and service our old debt. This is it right here. It's the ultimate battle: productivity versus paper.
And this is Beijing's gamble. This is their long game. They're betting that by the time America's debt hits 40 trillion or 50 trillion, the Dow Jones Industrial Average won't matter, the S&P won't matter. You know why? Because they will own the entire global supply chain for the future of energy. See, they're not playing our game. They don't care about beating us in the stock market. They're trying to beat us at the basics, at what's real.
Now, don't think for a second this is some abstract problem for economists to write papers about 20 years from now. No, this collision is happening as we speak, right now. And the markets, well, the markets are completely blind.
Today is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. The S&P 500 is trading at 6740. Chasing new highs, everybody's celebrating. But it is completely, utterly ignoring the reality of what we're talking about. But here's the thing about reality. It's like gravity. It's a law, not a suggestion, and you can't ignore it forever.
So what happens next? Look, the fallout from this export shock isn't a question of if. It's a question of when, and it's going to be severe. What are we looking at? We're looking at massive trade wars. We're looking at crippling tariffs on a scale we haven't seen in our lifetimes, and ultimately, a complete, and I mean painful, rewiring of the entire global commercial system.
And let's be absolutely clear about something. China is doing this from a position of deep internal weakness. Their back is against the wall. Their economy is cornered. But don't you dare mistake that weakness for being harmless. Because there is nothing more dangerous in this world than a desperate Goliath. They have nothing left to lose and everything to gain by tearing down the current global order.
So, what's the takeaway from all this? It's simple. Stop being hypnotized by the ticker tape. Stop obsessing over the daily price action. You need to look deeper. You need to ask, who is actually making things? Who controls the physical supply chains? Because that's where the real power is. Next time, we're going to dig into their ultimate weapon in this fight, the rare earth chokehold. This is Steve. Remember my words. Don't just watch the price. Watch the product. I'll see you at the open.